So we have a very special guest for today's show. She comes all the way from Nunavut, Canada. Nunavut, Canada is a passionate ambassador for women in aviation and aviation in general. She's also the recipient of the top AMT Professional Award from the 2022 Aerospace Maintenance Competition. We are very honored and excited to have you on the show. Please welcome Cassandra Hepp.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited to be on your show tonight.
No, thank you for coming. It's always humbling to have guests come on the show, and especially when we have guests who are just leagues above what we do. We're not worthy.
What I would call the super professionals.
Yes.
We are very much some slackjaws compared to people such as yourselves who excel in the field.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm very excited about this.
So you and everyone, all the professionals out there, you guys are honestly the superheroes. We are just a couple of schmoes on the mic, and we just give our spill and hopefully give someone enough laughs to not cause a mishap.
Schmoes is a good word.
Schmoes. Delicious hot schmoes. Those are s'mores, Buzz.
So, Cassandra, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, yes, my name is Cassandra Hepp, and I am an aircraft maintenance engineer. I work for Canadian North in Resolute Bay, Nunavut. So for people who don't even know, Nunavut is one of the northern territories in Canada. So it's kind of like north of Ontario. And I work like very far up, like in the Arctic Circle. There's no trees. Right now, because it's getting close to the summer solstice, it's 24-hour daylight, like the sun never goes down. So yeah, that's where I work. And I started... So how I got into aircraft maintenance was I was taking a Bachelor of Science at a university in Calgary right after I finished high school, but I didn't really know what I would do with a Bachelor of Science. I just kind of took it because I thought that I was supposed to get a degree after I finished school. And then I actually met somebody who was taking aircraft maintenance at SAIT. And that's in Calgary as well. And I just kind of thought like, oh, well, I've always loved airplanes, so maybe I could try doing that. Like that was it. Like in high school, I took cosmetology. I did like hair and nails, fashion class, like I did sewing. So when I got accepted into SAIT and started the aircraft maintenance program, it was just like I had to learn everything because I had never used tools before. Like I was never doing any mechanical stuff with my dad growing up or anything like that. So it was like a pretty steep learning curve for taking the schooling, but I like fell in love with it very fast. And I did really well. I was like the president of the student association at SAIT. I won the Dean's Award in the aviation program. Like I really loved it. And I've always been passionate about like volunteering since I was in school. So yeah, and now I'm a volunteer for a women in aviation organization that's based out of Edmonton, Alberta. And I'm their northern ambassador. So for like all the women in the northern part of Canada, I'm like the ambassador for Elevate. So it's good because I get to network and connect with other females in the industry. And yeah, I've been working up north pretty much my whole career. So 6 years. I was in Yellowknife for a few years, Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. I did like a brief stint working in Calgary. And then I went up to Nunavut, and that is where I'm at now. So that's a little bit about me.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. Like you said, you done nothing mechanical, nothing with tools, nothing of the sort until you went to SAIT. That's very uncommon. Usually when we hear women especially that say like, oh, what got you in aviation? Like, well, I used to work for my dad. I was the one holding the torch or the flashlight, and they would always yell at me that I'm not holding it in the right spot or something like that. Or they say, go get me this tool. I have no idea what that was, and they yell at me more. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And that somehow that didn't traumatize them, and then they decided to go be a mechanic professionally, and then they made their way to the decision point of either being an automotive mechanic, motorcycle mechanic, or just work on planes. And then they decided to do either one or all three. So it's very interesting to hear, like, I did nothing of the sort, until I went to SAIT, and then I just became a passionate AME from it.
Yeah, I just stumbled upon the career, and I'm just very glad I did. I don't really know how my life would be if I didn't end up meeting this person that was taking the program, because I have no clue.
I mean, it says a lot about you and who you are as a person to come from no aviation background. I mean, zero, and then excelling in the field to becoming the spokesperson for the Northern Women for Elevate, and also winning the AMC competition, beating out 72 other teams from all over Canada and the United States. Like that's impressive.
Aw, thank you.
So,
sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm getting a bit of a delay here. So you said you're in Nunavut, and one of the most northern places you mentioned to us offline is it Alert? I think that's how you say it, Alert?
Yeah.
That's 83
like
degrees
Alert, you're
north.
going to freeze to death?
Yes. Cold warning alert. 83 degrees north. I mean, I don't know how good some people are with maps or what latitude, longitude looks like, but 83 degrees north is probably like the most northern habitable place before you touch the North Pole, pretty much. Like, if Santa's workshop really existed, you're probably like in the front yard of it.
She's the one fixing the sleigh.
What's that?
So what is your? So you're up there, obviously working on planes. Are they passenger planes? Is it research planes? Is it all of the above? Like what's the main thoroughfare coming through?
Yeah, so when I was in Alert, I've been there just a couple times, and I was flying around with a passenger machine. So I was the engineer that flew around with the plane just to make sure, if the starter, if I needed to change a starter or a wheel or just like whatever I needed to do to get the plane back. And then where I work in Resolute Bay, it's passenger machines as well. So we have, I think it's about 5 out of 7 days a week. We've got a scheduled flight into the community. And it's mostly for medical travel, because the communities that my company serves, there's no road access. They're fly-in only. So Canadian North is very important to like serving these northern communities, because these people that live there, they aren't gonna, like, if they need to go anywhere for medical travel, they're going to fly south, and they're going to take my airplane and go to Iqaluit, then maybe to Ottawa, something like that. So it's really important. Like the planes that I'm working on, like they have quite an important purpose as to why they're in all of these communities.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So I got to say, I've never met an actual, I'm going to call him a bush mechanic until now. You are what I read about in a book years ago called Bent Props and Blow Pots. Have you ever read that?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God. Let me, I have it on my bookshelf over here. I got to go grab it so I can tell you who the author was, but it is about Canadian bush flying back in like the 1930s.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. The guy who was the mechanic, he talks about landing on a frozen lake, riverbed, and they bent the prop on a rock that was hidden under some snow. And he took the prop off, wedged it between two rocks, and bent it back into shape with his weight and a hammer.
Oh my God.
So that's the bent prop side. And then he puts it back on, they fly home, and then he talks about the blow pot side, which is like a kerosene heated 5-gallon bucket or whatever. But you have to drain the oil as soon as you land, because it's so cold there, the oil will start to congeal, especially the olden days oil. And you have to heat it with kerosene and then get it hot, pour it back in the motor, and then start the motor before it congeals again.
Wow. I'm definitely not at that extent, but I am working outside. Like, I don't have a hangar in Resolute Bay. So if anything does happen, like, I'm doing it outside. Even my daily inspection every day, obviously I'm doing that outside. So it's cold up there too. Like with the wind chill in the wintertime, it gets to like -60. So, and no matter if we're talking Celsius or Fahrenheit, that's the same temperature. So it can get very cold.
At what point below zero does it all feel the same?
I don't No, it depends on like if it's a wet cold or a dry cold. Because when I worked in Yellowknife, like, minus 45 was cold. But then being in Iqaluit and Resolute Bay, minus 45 is like way colder than it was in Yellowknife. So it's all very cold, though. I have like a lot of warm clothes, coveralls, big jacket, big boots. Like, I definitely like look like a snowman, like so big by the time I have everything on.
What's that dexterity like? Since you have to have so many warming layers just to shield yourself from the elements, like, does that make your job harder? Have you learned to adapt to it?
Does. Yeah, no, like climbing up the ladder to service the engine oil when I have that much on, like, my boots come halfway up my shin because they're good for minus 50. So it's just everything is a hassle when it's that cold. So everything takes longer, like hiking through, and when it's windy and just walking against the wind and the snow and wearing an extra like 15 pounds of gear, like, I mean, I'm used to it, but it's then when it comes summertime and I can just wear like a regular outfit for work and I'm like, oh, this is nice.
So shorts and a t-shirt. What is this?
so she's like Dragon Ball, you know what I mean? Like she does like that weighted clothing training in the wintertime. And then she takes it all off. She's like hopping onto the airplane, no ladder, no nothing. Just Yep.
Oh yeah, and like when I went from so I was in Resolute Bay at work, and then I flew to Dallas for the aerospace maintenance competition. So going right from Resolute to Dallas, and it was like, minus 45 with the wind chill in Resolute, going to 25 degrees in Dallas. I was in like shorts and dresses, and one guy said, "Oh, like we all think this is cold. Like we have jackets on outside right now." I'm like,
it's like, this is summer for me, friend.
It was 40 degrees when I left the house this morning here, which is strange for this time of year, but this coming weekend it'll be 95 degrees. But I just had a sweatshirt on, so I run hot. I'm from originally from a colder part of the country. And this morning I was like, man, I'm a little chilled right now. At 40. It's beach weather for some people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what's been some of the most challenging maintenance tasks you ever had to do out in any of the Nunavut areas? Like we mentioned, like having pretty much like the hockey style gear where like 15 pounds of equipment plus sweat and whatever else you're carrying now all of a sudden turns into like 2/3 of your body weight. But what's some of like the maintenance related tasks that's been like some of the biggest challenges, especially for areas that cold?
Well, I remember being in Yellowknife and it was like, minus 45. And I was trying to service the hydraulics on the 737 and like the valve was frozen. So I couldn't even pump hydraulic fluid in. We had to get a Herman Nelson to like warm everything up in the landing gear bay just to service the hydraulics. So it's not like challenging, like frustrating, but it's just like everything is a hassle and takes longer. Like changing a landing light bulb, when it's cold outside, like something taking out 5 screws that hold the panel on when you're in the hangar could take 1 minute. But when you're outside and your fingers are freezing and you can't wear gloves taking screws out, like just everything takes longer.
Yeah, and everything hurts more too.
I'm gonna ask the question.
Hop into the truck and like warm up your fingers every 5 minutes because they're so cold.
I've had to do that before, changing fuel controls and negative 25 temps. Now I'm gonna ask the question we all are thinking: what's a Herman Nelson? Because I have no idea.
Literally, all the Canadian listeners are going to be like, well, I know what that is. It's just like a little, like, it's like a diesel engine, like heater. Like it just like puts out hot air. So like, it's like a big duct. So you can position it wherever you need it to go to blow hot air. So it just like warms things up. Okay. So,
we have HVAC machines down here, which blow cool air.
It blows cool air.
It blows cool air.
Ever use those in Canada? Maybe in like Toronto, Vancouver, like not where I'm at.
What drew you to that far north?
So when I graduated from SAIT, like that's in Calgary, it was like a recession for finding a job. Like nobody could find apprenticeships in Calgary. And I just like looked online and applied at every possible apprenticeship I could find. And the first person that called me back was Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. So it's 15 hours north of Calgary. And
holy cow. By driving or flying? Driving. I was gonna say, okay, that makes a dumb question on my part. I was thinking flying. Well, if she flies, she's going to end up in South America. Flying 15 hours north of there.
Right. You go so far north, you're south.
It's far north for people that live in like central Alberta. Like the Northwest Territories is far. So I went up there to do my apprenticeship, and I had never been north of like Grand Prairie. So that's kind of like midway up Alberta. And I went and started my apprenticeship because I didn't want to wait for a job in Calgary, and I was motivated to start my apprenticeship. And I just fell in love with the North. Like I met so many amazing people up there, and like I had a blast. I worked for this small family-owned airline that operates turboprops, and I just like absolutely loved it. Like I just fell in love with everything about the North. Like it's beautiful no matter what time of year, summer, winter. There was a beautiful river that ran right through the small town I lived in. Only 2,500 people in this small community. And like, yeah, so I moved back home to Calgary because I thought I wanted to work at kind of a well-known airline in Canada. It was like my dream job. So I got this job in Calgary, and I moved from Fort Smith to Calgary, quickly realized that was not my dream job, and that I loved the North. And so I went back up north and went to Yellowknife.
Okay.
So with you saying like, oh, no one goes that far up north, like what's the demographic like for AMEs out there? Like is it very small, and like are you like one of the few women in that small, or what's that like?
Oh yeah, it's definitely in the North. I think I can count in the last 6 years. I think I know of maybe 5 other female AMEs that have worked in like Yellowknife and Iqaluit. I've to this day never worked with another female engineer. I've worked with like a couple of female apprentices here and there. But at my company, like in Iqaluit, I'm the only female that has aircraft certification authority. So I'm the only female that signs off airplanes with my company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, it's definitely like just crazy to think about.
So there's probably a decent chance for growth and for work for females that far north if they're willing to move up there like you were. Is that accurate, or?
Yeah, I would say so for sure. And now I'm actually doing a rotational position now after transferring to Nunavut last July. Now I do 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and I live in Alberta, and then I fly to work for 3 weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I get to live like where my family's all at and stuff, which is great. And then I get to go and still work up north. So I have all these friends in the North, and like I love being there, but I also get to be at home with my family. So it's great. And I think just for anyone really that's like willing to go up north, like it's just such a cool experience. And you get to see parts of Canada that like people pay thousands of dollars to go see these communities, and I'm getting paid to work at them. So it's just like great
to live in it.
Yeah.
So your affiliation with Elevate, what's that been like? How did you first get involved with that? And then, what was been your basic success and hardships and everything, and doing what you've done in that realm?
Yeah, no, I absolutely love Elevate. Like, so I found out about Elevate in 2019 when I was living in Yellowknife, and my manager asked me if I would help organize this Women in Aviation. It was like a cross-country tour that Elevate was doing, and they were going to every city in Canada, like all of the capitals, and Yellowknife had a stop. And so I got to help them like organize the stop. So it's just a day of like showcasing like all the aviation careers, and specifically geared towards like girls in high school. So we invite like all these girls into the hangar and show them aviation careers. And that's like how I was introduced to Elevate. And then I realized, wow, like this is such an awesome organization. At that point, I had just gotten my engineer's license. Yes, because that was 2019. And so I realized I wish I had known about Elevate when I was an apprentice, because I went through some bullying and harassment when I was an apprentice. And a lot of people I worked with told me I just needed to have thicker skin and to stop taking things personally. So I like bottled everything up and like kept things in, and like until I pretty much like exploded and kind of quit my job. But if I would have known about Elevate, like I would have been able to have been connected with like a mentor and known like, wow, other female AMEs like go through exactly what I'm going through. So once I learned about Elevate when I was an engineer, I was like, I love everything they stand for. Like, I wish I had known about them sooner, because they would have helped me. And I want to be able to help other people, you know, hope that they wouldn't go through kind of the things I went through, but at least if they did, I could be a mentor for other women to know, like, no, what you're feeling is totally valid and you're allowed to feel that way. So yeah, I knew Elevate was looking for an ambassador in the Northwest Territories, and that's where I lived. So I applied to become their ambassador for the North, and that was in 2019. And since then I've been the Northern ambassador, and yeah, like I just love it. I got to go to the Canadian Women in Aviation Conference in August 2019, and that was amazing. And then obviously with COVID, like things kind of slowed down. We did a lot of like virtual, what was it? International Women's Day. In 2020 and 2021, I got to help out doing like virtual presentations. I've done like just public speaking for them about like being a female AME. Just pretty much anytime I can like talk to anybody that wants to hear about my job, I'm very happy to do that. And then also I won. Elevate Aviation has this Inspire Gala every year, and I was nominated by many folks, including you guys, to win this Inspire Award for 2022. And so I'm very excited that I am one of the Inspire features for this year. So we got to do this like retreat weekend last month where all 10 of us got together and had like an awesome photo shoot, and we just had like a fun weekend together. And then in October this year, we have a gala in Edmonton. So all 10 of us are being kind of showcased at that gala in October. And I'm just like so excited about that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Very, very cool. Congrats on that. Again, from all of us, we've said it like how many times already, but congrats again. Just further showing that we're nowhere near the caliber of you and many others of your like you.
Oh, thank you so much.
So speaking with Elevate Aviation, I remember there was a mechanical skills competition in Toronto, and Elevate Aviation was one of the sponsors who sponsored an all-woman team to go to that competition. Was your team, i.e. Elevate Aviation's team, were you the only all-woman team in that competition?
Yes. So there were 7 teams that competed at that event, and Elevate, we actually had 2 female teams. And it was awesome because out of 7 teams, 2 of them were like the all women. We actually had a transgender person on our team as well. So that was really amazing. We had like a good diverse group of people. And for our 2 teams, we won 6 out of 7 of the awards at that competition.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
we won 1st place, 3rd place, best structures score on the structures challenges. The student on our team won the highest student score. We had like the best team spirit and the best uniform because we got like these cool jerseys made. So yeah, it was like very humbling and very exciting. And that was my first skills competition. And I was really nervous, but once I started doing it, I was like, this is a breeze. Like, I know how to do this. Like, one of them was doing, I had to make a wiring harness, and like, I'm not avionics, so I haven't done that really since I was at school, but I was doing the harness and the judge was like, wow, like one of these other guys that did it before you didn't even know how to hold wire strippers. And I was like, oh, well, I know how to do that. But Yeah, no, it was super fun, and we all had a blast. So, yeah.
Now, was anybody on the team anybody that you mentored personally or
Um,
mentored since?
Yes, since for sure. So Nordia King, she was on my team in Toronto last year. And like since then, she's just gotten so involved with Elevate, which is amazing. She's in her second year at Centennial College in Toronto. And she was actually on my team in Dallas last month.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right.
And like, you know, I had a commercial aviation team at the Dallas Skills Competition. And so we wanted her to be on our team, you know, even though she is a student, because students had their own category at that event, but we had her on our team because she's just so amazing, and like she did so well and just had like such a good like mentality and attitude, and yeah, she did awesome in Dallas. So
Speaking of speaking of the AMC in Dallas, like when Elevate Aviation compiled their team to send to Dallas, I want to say there was like maybe your team was maybe like one of five. I want to say five all women teams out of that 72 team competition, and a lot of the women that were in Elevate Aviation's team, your team, were advocates in their own right. Like I want to say at least three of them. Alicia for sure is with this one now soon to be nonprofit organization. What's it? Hangar Queens, right?
yeah.
Her and Stephanie, who were part of the. Oh, I don't think Stephanie was there for that competition, but Alicia for sure. When you're all advocates in your own rights, you've been mentoring each other for some time now, and then they send you guys to Dallas. When Elevate Aviation consolidated you guys or asked you guys to be part of the team, did they just knew who to pick, or they just kind of say like, who wants to be on our team?
Okay, so how it actually came to be was the founder of Elevate, she specifically asked me to create a team.
Oh, okay. So
Oh,
I'm the like
you're the grand wizard then.
Yeah. She's queen of the North and team captain.
That's right, queen of the North.
I was the team captain. Yeah.
Are you sure your last name's not Stark?
So yeah, no, that's why like I wanted, you know, Alicia's so amazing. I asked Alicia and Nordia being on our team. It really was pretty much all of us from Toronto, because we were, you know, we hadn't met in person before doing that skills competition in Toronto, and we worked so well together. You know, we took home like pretty much everything that you could possibly take home, and I was like, let me just ask all of these women again, because we worked so well together last year. You know, we're not coworkers. That's the funny thing. Like, we don't work together in our careers, but we worked so well together in Toronto. And yeah, that's why I asked. And Hannah, the structures engineer, she's awesome. And Lindsay from Flair, she wasn't in Toronto, but she was like a really good benefit to our team in Dallas. So yeah, it's and just amazing to know, like, we don't even work together in our careers, but we did so well. Like, Alicia and I had never worked together until the AMC, and her and I replaced an APU burner can in like 7.5 minutes, which
Wow.
I'm like, very impressed with, because when I do that alone at work, it's like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's another example of how you and others like you there, the other ladies that were on the team, are just shining examples of what professionals in the industry really are. A dream team, if you were. I mean, it'd be a management dream team. You mean to tell me I have these ladies from all over that have never worked together, and they can go and clean house in the first go? Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine if you guys did work together. Holy
that's
cow.
exactly it. We keep joking about creating an aircraft maintenance organization, like at my boyfriend's farm, and starting up like an AMO with like crop dusters in Alberta.
Yeah, I mean, you can even start your own AOG maintenance, which down here is called aircraft on ground, but you're just traveling mechanics. You travel all around working jets where they break. Kind of like when I was telling you I was up there in Calgary changing those AGB seals out on that Falcon. That's AOG work. So I go where the plane breaks. Traveled all over Canada, US, Mexico, in the Caribbean, chasing private jets, at least for that job.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Wow. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm going to have to talk to Alicia about that. We might have to set that up.
Yeah. And especially with Hanger Queens being soon to be a nonprofit, I mean, maybe that can somehow turn into a training event too. Like you guys host seminars or something like that. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Might be something for y'all to do. But it also, what it does really is it forwards the culture, right? Or the cultural mindset. Like you can do it because we can do it. And you think that we're just all stars. We didn't become like this overnight. Like this, if you hear like with your background, like I didn't know the first thing of what tools were. And now look at here. Or you have someone who just had a passion for something. They just really wanted to get into it. Like they studied hard. They did what they did. And now they're up here. So I believe just showing that you can be average and do above average things is such an inspiration, really. And I'm gonna ask about the competition too. Like, what sort of things did you do or did amongst your team that kind of help fire them up? Really, like you've never seen this job before. I mean, let's be real.
Must be one hell of a motivational speaker. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, for totally. Like we've never done virtual spray painting, but let's do this, guys.
Yeah. I mean, it really was just like right from day one when we all knew who was going down to Dallas, and like my team and I did so many like Zooms to like get ourselves geared up for this event. And it was always just like, okay, we are just going to go in and do our best. Like, of course we want to win. Like, who doesn't want to win? But we're like, I don't have a competitive bone in my body. Like, I'm one of those people who think that everyone deserves a medal and that if you tried, like, good for you. Like, I'm that person that's going to have like the orange slices at my future kids' soccer games and just be like, good job for trying, everybody. Like, who cares if you win or lose? So that's been like my mindset. Obviously I want to win. Like I'm not going into this competition thinking we're going to lose, but you know, we will do our best and, you know, act professionally and just have respect for all the other teams. And we just went in there with like, you know, very positive attitudes and like optimistic and like, we're going to work hard and try our best. And hopefully that's good enough. And if it's not, that's okay. Because at least we know that we did our best, you know, we're trying. And we had the manuals so we could read up. Like I read up before, you know, the competition kind of when I was flying down there, I was reading about the skills that I was going to do. But yeah, I just know like some of the airlines in America, they trained for this thing. Like they would get together once a month in different cities across America and like full on practice these events. Like,
and you still smoked them.
Yeah. And I'm just like, man, we didn't have any of these events, but you know, we did well. So it just shows that, you know, like we're good at our jobs. And that's the thing. Like I'm good at my job and I know that. So I can read a manual and figure it out. Like obviously if we had that specific APU or the specific engine or whatever, sure. Like maybe it would have been nice to practice, but at the end of the day, it's like everything's just nuts and bolts and we can read manuals and figure it out as we go. And yeah, we had fun. That's the thing. Like I watched some other teams and they were so serious and they weren't talking to each other as they were doing the events. And like my teammates and I, like we were laughing and we were having fun and, you know, focused, but also just like talking to each other. Like we communicated so well and worked together so well that like the judges just noticed like, wow, these women are like working together so well for people that don't actually work together as coworkers.
You know what? If I was any kind of hiring authority, I would personally like to your whole team right there and your backup teams from Toronto. Like, here is a offer letter. Think about it, and I would like to have each of you on our team because we need some game changers, some culture mindset changers to get this ball rolling into the future. Seriously. And going about the competition, and we were there watching the awards and stuff. And this one women team, it's Chick Fix, I think was the name. I can't remember what airlines they were, but they were United. Okay.
Yeah.
So they won or placed in almost every single event that even the ones that were like student rated, like how did they win the student one? But well, whatever, they won. Right. But how did that feel though? Even though it wasn't your team, that a all woman team was winning like 68 out of 72 categories for your.
Oh my God. We were so excited for them. Like throughout the whole 2-day competition, the Chick Fix team were just like so great. Like we chatted with them the whole time, like Elevate's team and the Chick Fix, like we were always just chatting. Like it wasn't like, oh, these are our competition. Like we were like all supporting each other. Like both teams were just like, you know, how did that go? Oh, like good job. Like we were all just like so excited for each other. So that's just it. Like when they're so few and far between to find like female maintenance technicians, it's like instantly just like friendship. So there were other female teams for sure. Like I know FedEx had one, and then there was another one from a different airline, and I can't even remember which one. But you know, like we didn't actually chat as much with them, but like that Chick Fix team, oh my gosh, like I just love them all. They were so, and I followed like a couple of them on LinkedIn and stuff beforehand. So I was like, oh, I'm so excited to meet this woman. Like, and she was just as nice in person as she was online. So it was great.
Yeah, it's cool when I'll say heroes for a lack of a better word, but when you're heroes and you meet them in person, like they're exactly what they portray themselves to be online or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a positive, man. It means a lot.
Now let's talk about when you received the top AMT professional award. I mean, let's 72 teams times 5, like out of all those competitors, you were picked number 1, not runner up. There wasn't someone else after you. It was just you flat out. Like here for top AMT award, we present Cassandra Hepp. And how did that from that second when they said your name and they put your face on the screen and they had the award with your name on the screen, how did that feel?
Oh, oh my God. I just could not believe it. Like I was so shocked and just instantly started crying. Like, and I'm sure to some people that's like kind of strange because it's like, well, why was she crying? But, you know, for the people that know me and know how my career has been and like all of the hardships I've gone through and like just certain things that have happened in my career over the last 6 years, like it really meant a lot to me to know like, okay, I worked hard, I did my best, and I treated my teammates with like the utmost respect, like how people deserve to be treated. And they noticed that. Like the judges noticed the way that I treated my teammates. And I think it just like really like my heart was just like overwhelmed with emotions, like, because this is the way that everyone deserves to be treated. Like the way that I treat people, like I just wish that people would have treated me that way when I was younger. So it was just like very emotional for me because I'm like, okay, like I know like this is the way that I treat everybody. And, you know, like it just meant a lot to have the judges notice that.
Well, and it's also proof, right? Showing all the haters and all the people who have not been so kind throughout your journey, right? It's validation like, hey, you know, assholes, you didn't break me.
Yeah,
I came out on top, you know?
Not only did you not break me, I topped you out on your own game. I mean, let's address that. A 6-year AME winning a top award that normally takes someone anywhere between 10 to life to get something similar.
Well, and this is her second win. I mean,
yeah.
If you count the Toronto in there, I mean that's 2 big awards right out the gate.
Right. 2-time champion. They get the championship belts and hold them up higher. 2-time.
And I know I've learned to realize like I cannot control what other people think of me, and like people are gonna have opinions about women in aviation and like female mechanics, and like yes, I'm young, and yes, I'm small, and yeah, maybe I can't lift a starter by myself or lift the battery. But I excel in a lot of other ways. Like my hands are very small, so I can get into like tight places where, maybe a man's hands would barely fit. Mine are just like so small, they can slip right in. So like I have strengths and weaknesses just like everybody else, but I'm like content and confident with who I am. But I had to learn how to be that way because of having people put me down, because I realized people are intimidated by me. And so then when they don't like that, they try to like put me down, because it's a way that they can like get ahead of me, like by belittling or like putting me down. But it's just, no, I mean, whatever. Like people will think what they want to, but I'm like comfortable and confident with who I am. So yeah, I'm proud of myself and very like humbled, and I still can't believe it. I like have the award. And then when I was flying home, I flew through Chicago airport, and then I'm like walking to my gate and I see this like big display, and I went up to it, and it was for the award that I won. They have like a big display in the Chicago airport of all the people who have won this award. I'll have to send you guys the picture, because then I got some random guy to take a picture of me beside it, because I was like, check me out. But anyways, there was not one female name on that whole board. So I'm the first female to win this professional AMT award.
Dang. I mean, what's it like to be cool? What is it like to be cool?
Yeah, send us some of those good maintenance vibes.
Yeah, really. Right.
Sending them your way from Canada.
Right. Or breaking into like webinar size chunks so we can teach this to other people. Like, you see this, here's a person who had zero maintenance background, zero aviation background, had no idea what tools even were, and they're becoming inaugural women in certain awards. They're becoming inaugural recipients of XYZ. What's stopping you? Really? Mm-hmm. Right? That's the question I think we should all ask everybody, or ask ourselves. Like, what's really stopping you from achieving the greatness? Right? Is it the hard work? Is it the lack of work? Is it the lack of sleep? Is it the lack of motivation? Let's take a look at someone like Cassandra over here. Like 6 years and pretty much being like a 3-time champ already.
Well, yeah, and that's what like I've learned over the last 6 years is that like people can literally learn anything. Like I didn't know anything and I've learned it all. So when people say, "Oh, well, I can't do that," it's like, yeah, you can. Like you can literally do anything. Like you just learn it. You just work hard and gain the education and like take in all the knowledge that people want to give you, and you just figure it out.
What's that saying, MVP, that one of your coaches mentioned to you some time ago?
Oh yeah, I had a soccer coach in high school. He was from Zambia, the country of Zambia in Africa, and he said, you never stop learning until the day you die, and if you do, you're already dead. It was something along those lines, but basically, you're dead in the head the day you choose to stop learning.
And that's so true. That because nobody knows everything, and that's what sometimes I wish like some of the like high time senior guys at certain companies, like at one point they didn't know anything. So cut the people some slack that don't know anything right now, because like we all have to learn, and yeah, like nobody stops learning.
Yeah. So Six and I experienced that in our last positions, and definitely a little bit even in our current positions. But those same people, right? They did what they had to do, mostly shady backstabbing stuff, to get to the positions they were in, and then they would withhold information from everybody because they use that as justification of their existence. So that this place can't operate without me because I'm the only one who knows this. But instead of the company going, you're setting up a single point of failure and we'll have none of it, they went, that person's super valuable. We should give them more money.
Yeah,
that's exactly. I dealt with that at like a previous job, and there was only one guy who knew how to do the engine rigging on the TPE 331-10. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Hey, I've got tons of time in service on that motor.
Okay, so you probably know how to do the engine rigging, but like
I do.
At my previous job, like so it's a pain in the ass or whatever.
Oh,
it's
yes.
like it's a skill you need to learn. But there was only one guy who knew it, and instead of teaching everyone else how to do it, it was like he was like, nope, I'm the engine rigging guy. He would not teach anyone. Like, I had the manual, the book, but for someone who's been doing this for 2 decades, you'd think he would want to spread the knowledge, but it wasn't. It was like, I'm valuable because I'm the only one who knows how to do this, and I'm not going to teach anybody else.
Yeah. So, and consequently, those same individuals refuse to learn anything new either.
Yes.
So that's their only way. That's their only way to stay relevant, is because they're falling behind on everything else. So the only card they have in the game is that I can rig the engine.
Yeah.
And consequently, we've also seen those individuals who say that they know a bunch of things and they don't. Like, this is kind of our daily bane right now, where we would go look over a person's job, or to inspect, to sign off a person's job, and it's clearly wrong. And they go like, well, this is how we've always done it. Or they'll say something along the lines of, this is how we've always done it. This is how I remember it. Or I know better than what the manual says. Whatever the case, whatever the excuse is, or whatever their logic reasoning for why they did it wrong is. And we tell them like, well, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, this is the standard. This is what I'm inspecting you to. And this is where you did it wrong. I don't know how you could mess that up, because it's right here. And it's proof in the pudding, because if a 6-year AME who's never worked with any other team members can go to a competition and ace it in under 7 minutes, how is it that you, air quote, done this for 10 plus years or more, don't understand and refuse to understand what the standard is telling you? So here's your fail. See you for remedial in 3 weeks.
We'll have to make sure you fix yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we can go on forever on that subject. So what is next for Cassandra Hepp?
Wow, that is a fine question. That is a good question. So right now I am rotating to Resolute Bay, and I do like rotating just because I love having the 3 weeks off. It would be nice to eventually get to Alberta full time, hopefully in Edmonton, and, just stay with my current company and just see. I would like to get in a position where I can make a difference, like, just because I've seen a lot of like things that I would never want to have happen to other people. So I would like to be in a role that I can make sure that people are being treated equally. Like, I'm very passionate about equality and like diversity in the workplace. So it'd be nice to be, maybe in like a supervisor role on the hangar floor, or a manager role sort of thing, just so I want to make sure that people are treated the way that they're supposed to be. So that would be like my future hopes with my career. But
so
right now I'm
maybe
rotating.
So maybe you can do that AOG thing we mentioned earlier, or bring that up to your existing company. Say, hey, and now that you've won several competitions and are clearly good at what you do and have proven yourself time and again, you got some weight behind you to go to your existing company and say, hey, what if we started an AOG group? So what's that? Well, it's, aircraft on ground. We travel around, do this. We need a couple of trucks and vans, and we already have the support equipment, or here's how the amount of dollars we need to spend to start this up. But I project we'll make, at 6 to 10 planes a month or whatever. We'll have this kind of profit, sell to that way. And maybe you can head that division and then be in charge of all the hiring and exactly everything you just said, and ensure that people are treated fairly and enjoy coming to work every day.
That is definitely an option.
It's clear that your team building skills is on par with the best of them. I mean, even the team that you did gather and work together, each and every one of them are advocates in their own right and have excellent team building skills. So hint, wink, wink. I mean, if you guys did it, you'd make a killing.
Yeah, and you've proven that you can be successful with a group that you've never met before. That's just, you just have those people skills and the know-how, and it just works. So something to think about anyways. I mean, you might be able to base yourself out of Edmonton or Calgary even, or whatever, but there is a lot of corporate jet work in the Calgary area. I know that.
That's so true. Well, I do know that my future is bright with like in the aviation industry. I'll have a lot of different options for sure.
Oh, definitely. And be it either Canada or the United States, if you chose to come further south, you would have massive options down here.
Or
So, what would you say for someone who's aspiring to be an AME or just take up anything aviation in general?
that they are definitely smart for wanting to join the aviation industry. But just to be like very open-minded, willing to like take constructive criticism and be able to like take responsibility for your actions. Like that's a big one in our industry. Like you can't,
yes, it is.
Like it is, because we all see a lot of people who just like to point fingers and not own up to, making mistakes. And that's a huge thing. Like we've all made mistakes. I've made mistakes, but I've owned up to them and said, wow, like I did this. Like, you got to own it.
The sharpened pencil has done no work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those individuals, they look good, but that's because they haven't done shit. That's why they haven't made any mistakes.
And then they have a lot of things to say if you do something wrong. But at least, I could go on about that, but I shouldn't.
I think we all could.
Yeah, just that sort of thing.
I was going to ask, we did an episode about, running into wildlife and such in Six and I's travels in our past and currently. My most recent stuff were banana spiders. Disgusting. That I was recently out on a work trip in Six's homeland. And they have giant banana spiders, which are just gross. But I was going to ask, so what kind of wildlife run-ins have you had up north? Moose, polar bear?
Okay, first of all, I just Googled banana spider, and that is disgusting.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Why I live in the Arctic and not in southern parts where those spiders exist, because, no thanks.
Yeah, they're. So I went out and looked at a B-52 wreckage from back in the 70s, and all over that thing were banana spiders, and it was just gross.
You guys would catch me on a plane back to Canada if I ever saw one of those. No thanks. Because all I have to worry about, well, not all, I have to worry about running into polar bears.
Oh yeah, something that can actually eat you.
Yeah, that would murder me. So I'd still take the polar bear over that spider because that's creepy looking, but I just in the wintertime, so the polar bears aren't there right now, but for sure, from November to, I don't know, February, March, they're around. So my plane sits outside every night. So my morning routine when I go to put heat, because I hook up the heat cart at 4 a.m. So the routine is to take a really wide loop in my work truck just to make sure there's no wildlife before I'm laying on the ground hooking up this heat cart.
Yeah. I was going to ask, do you have to we kind of do a wide sweep and check the area and make sure there's no, and then do you carry a sidearm or anything with you? I mean, polar bear's coming, you're pretty much screwed, but.
That's exactly it. I have heard people have told me I should. And I mean, I haven't thought about it much because now it's not polar bear season. So maybe I'll rethink that in September or October, but I just do a really wide loop and there's no fence. My airport isn't fenced in. So they literally could just walk up right onto the runway.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was just kind of curious if you're up there on a ladder servicing oil or hydro or whatever else. And then you feel your ladder move and you turn around and there's a polar bear standing up on its hind legs, leaning on the ladder, looking at you like you're a nice, tasty burrito, and wearing all your layers.
Oh my God. I don't know. I mean, so far I haven't run into that problem, and my work truck is always parked very close to me, whenever I am working. So I'm just very aware of what's around me. I'll definitely keep scanning as I'm working, to make sure that there's nothing like that close by.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've never been anywhere close to where a polar bear lives in my life. But they are giant white murder machines.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's true, because in Yellowknife there's black bears, and those things, they won't really like mess with you unless you're messing with them. So it's like, it's kind of scary, but I know that a black bear, if it sees me, like, I'm going to be an inconvenience to it, but that's about it. But polar bears, like, people keep telling me, if you see a polar bear, then that means the bear has seen you for the last 20 minutes. And like, it's been like trying to make a plan of how it's going to eat you.
Oh my God.
I'm like, holy
Yeah,
shit.
I mean, that's the real danger, right? Is because their hunting grounds are shrinking so much that they're getting desperate, so they will go after humans. I think those and grizzlies are the only ones that will attack humans, but grizzlies do it out of fear and rage and territorial stuff. But polar bears will actually consume you. Grizzlies will just kill you and let you lie.
Exactly.
Hashtag no. No.
That's wild. Holy cow.
Hey, and any final thoughts for the audience out there, Cassandra? Anything and everything,
Oh, wow.
or anything about anything?
Anything about anything. Come to the Canadian Arctic. I think and especially for any Canadians that are listening, like, I think that all of this entire country, like, people need to see the North. And I think that there's just a lack of awareness about what's going on up in the territories. So I think that all Canadians should at least go up to these communities to see what's going on up there. Because it's very cool. And I'm very, like, I feel privileged that I've gotten the opportunity to experience things that not a lot of people have experienced. So, yeah.
Well, I am not Canadian, but I would love to come up there and see that place. So, if there's ever a time or a chance or whatever, that, your work, our work, whatever brings us that direction, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, let me know if you guys are ever up in Canada.
Or if you ever do start that AOG company, hint, hint, wink, or a school or like a seminary convention or something like that. I mean, feel free to know our names when you do that and invite us up there.
Yeah, we'd love to come up and do a live show with you and cover the events and whatever else. That'd be sweet.
Yes.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Most definitely. And this is my shameless plug for Elevate Aviation and all the other women advocacy groups out there. If you're an aspiring woman who wants to be a mechanic, or you are one and you're trying to just kind of find your way about things, definitely hit up Cassandra or Elevate Aviation or Hangar Queens, all these various other organizations that are slowly but surely finding their way into the limelight for people like you who just want to be a mechanic by fair means, and also to be a mechanic that actually has a career path laid out for them besides just figuring it out in the dark, really.
Mm-hmm.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, Cassandra, I mean, feel free to plug in all your socials as well, all your personal ones if you want to, and whatever else you want to say about everything you're involved in.
That would be great. I mean, for sure, like, you can add my Instagram. It's like private, but I can let people follow. And then LinkedIn, like, I've got like a pretty big following on LinkedIn. So I don't know if people are using that down there, but
yeah. not as much as you would think. But yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
it's mostly reserved for the executives or prospecting executives, mostly. Mostly. There's some here's and there's, but it's usually like they have the profile out there so they can kind of scout, but it's mostly for executives or soon to be.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. But definitely, if you mentioned yourself, Elevate Aviation, we both of us have mentioned Hangar Queens. Is there any other organizations out there, especially Canada specific, for all our Canadian listeners out there that they can utilize?
The Canadian Women in Aviation, They're really good. They do a conference every couple of years, and they actually have their conference in Edmonton this year. So you can follow them on Instagram and LinkedIn and everything as well. So, but yeah, other than that, for sure, Elevate and Hanger Queens, like they're the big ones.
Yes.
Now, is your organization, Elevate and Hanger Queens, are those limited to Canadians and women specifically only, or can any female from all over the globe choose to join, or male and female for that matter? Can it be anybody?
Totally. Elevate, it's kind of geared towards more like trying to support and encourage women to choose careers in aviation, but like it's always good to have male allies as well. And Hanger Queens is like specifically geared towards females in maintenance roles. So regardless of Canadian or not, like if you're a woman and as a maintenance technician on any type of aircraft, for sure, like follow Hanger Queens, because it's just nice. You know, we chatted so much about being a female mechanic, and there's all these like women in aviation platforms, but there never really was like a women in maintenance specific platform. And that's like the whole point of Hanger Queens, just because we're so few and far between. So it's really nice to chat with other female maintenance techs to know the way that we're feeling and what we're going through is like very common amongst us. So yeah, female mechanics, definitely follow Hanger Queens.
Outstanding. Well, Cassandra, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and be on the show with us. I know you had all sorts of plans and we kind of moved things around to get this rolling. But once again, it's been an honor and a privilege, and we really can say we can't hold a candle next to you. Thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us. We'd love to have you back as a guest, and feel free to bring your friends and others you've competed with or work with who want to come on the show. We'd love to have the whole Elevate crew and
yes,
and or Hanger Queens crew or whoever you deem worthy.
Aw, thank you guys. I definitely am thinking of a few people for sure. And I appreciate so much that you wanted me to come on your show. I love this. Like, this was great. And I'm really excited to hear it and like share it with all of my friends. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited. So it's awesome.
Thanks.
It truly is. We're definitely excited.
We're definitely excited. Thank you again so much. And for everyone else out there, if you have any questions for us or would like to know of any specific questions from Cassandra or some of the stuff that any of the women organizations do, please shoot us a line on any of our social medias or on our email, go to a website, whichever is the easiest for you to contact us. We're very good at getting back with you. So once again, just let us know, and whichever is easiest for you, and we'll get to you as soon as we can. On that note, thanks again, everybody. Cassandra, thank you. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
We'd like to take this time to thank our patrons for supporting our show and allowing us to continue to make episodes, maintain our gear, and create merch for all of our listeners, with special thanks to Erica Lamont, Chris Hawkins, Ryan Frushauer, Dan Schubert, Jenny Dignan, and the ladies of the Dick Talk and Mimosas podcast. Thank you all so much for your support and patronage. Visit our shop at cancelformaintenance.com and grab some swag to show off both your support for us and your prowess as an aircraft technician. If you have ideas for the show or you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit our contact us section and send us a line. We will do what we can to get your ideas or yourself on the show. You can also follow us on social media, such as on Facebook at Cancel for Maintenance, Instagram at Canx, that's CANX for Maintenance Podcast, or on Twitter at CXMX Podcast. Check out some of our affiliates like Rockwell Time, where they make both rugged and classy watches to fit your lifestyle. Use the code CX4MX and save 10% off your purchase. Support us on Patreon. Our patrons get exclusive perks such as access to our Discord, discounts and early access to merch, special patron-only episodes, and so much more. Thank you again so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.